Yo, what is up, YouTube? Brody here again. A couple days ago, I made a video, and at the beginning of it, I had a little clip where I showed that I had just gotten a banjo and was going to start writing with it. And today, I made my first instrumental with recording that banjo in like a metalcore, like post-rocky, Sigur Rossi, loathy kind of way. Very weird, very not what I expected my first banjo piece to be. But I wanted to run through it with you guys and show what it sounds like and kind of why I bought this banjo and the vision that I had with it. I feel like it's an instrument with a very like aesthetic and stylistic kind of sound surrounding it that I think isn't explored more in other genres. I wanted to explore some more like moody, folky, like fantasy, like swampy, minor key things with this, and I think that in this context it sounds really cool. It kind of gives loot, it kind of gives like vague medieval thing. I don't know, I'm gonna run through it and show you guys what it sounds like and what I made. So I started off, I recorded it all with this blue baby bottle here. I had it maybe like a foot away, just kind of pointing at the drum of the banjo, and I started off with this. I just kind of had this looping the whole time, like a pedal tone, like mood setting kind of thing. So kind of like minor key, creepy leaning thing. One thing that I found really interesting about the banjo is that a 5-string banjo is usually tuned to open G and open tunings in general, which I find really interesting. I've always thought that Midwest emo and country folk bluegrass have had a lot of common ground, and this is just another instance of similarities there. I found that because the banjo was in an open tuning like that, it made the learning curve almost like non-existent for me. Like figuring out the finger picking and the right hand stuff is difficult, but the fretting I felt very at home from playing with a bunch of like emo Midwest like open tunings. I feel like it would, with the electric guitar, have that kind of emo sound to it, but with the banjo it kind of adds some like organic, like mystical kind of vibes to it. So yeah, I recorded it through the baby bottle and within my UAD console through an LA2A and 1073. There's a little resonance because I think I have to get like a drum key tuner and tune the head of my banjo. It's essentially like a drum. It's a Remo drum head here and all these little pegs you can tune. And I think that I need to pitch up the banjo a little bit and get it to resonate like within the key. But because of that, I had to cut a little bit of a honky like resonance thing here. And then I did a little bit of soothe. It was like an acoustic guitar soothe thing, just to make it bite a little bit less. I compressed them together with the LA3A. A little bit of tonal shaping, just to fit in context. A little bit of delay and reverb. And I think this might be the very first YouTube Midwest emo banjo tutorial. Steal this banjo chain can be the clickbaity pog face thumbnail for this one. But I love how this sounds. I think it's very nice. It's very organic. This is without anything. And then with everything. It's kind of out of frame, but I just picked up a Octava MC012, like a small diaphragm condenser mic I'm going to use to record more like articulate, like smaller banjo parts, nylon guitar, acoustic guitar parts. And I think that that will help me EQ wise and tonally get to this point with less EQ moves. But yeah, this was the first little idea. And then here's the second banjo layer that happens throughout the song. I'm going to play it after all the processing, and this is another reason why I got the banjo. Sounds like this. So yeah, if you follow my videos, you know that I like to do a lot of synthesis from like audio manipulation. A lot of times I'll get the synth parts of my song by messing with a recording of my acoustic guitar, of my voice, of my electric guitar. I feel like some of those are like softer, if we're thinking in like synthesizer terms, softer waveforms. So like the nylon guitar could be like sine, triangle wave-ish. The acoustic guitar is a little bit sharper. My voice is a little bit on the smoother side. And I think getting the banjo, it kind of gives me a weird like sawtooth pulse, like FM synth kind of like, if you're thinking about the initial timbre to then process on top of, it just gives this really sharp, bitey kind of sound. So this is, I'll turn off what's messing with it. This is basically the same chain. If I turn off the effects that I'm doing, it sounds like this. So just another banjo layer. But I ran a double track left and right. I ran them both left and right through Little Altar Boy. It gets like a glitchy kind of thing happening. I talk about this a lot in my videos, but with Little Altar Boy, it's a monophonic pitch shifter. So if you throw in a source that's like kind of polyphonic or has some like bleed and trailing happening, it will start to react really glitchy and sound really cool. Like a happy accident kind of thing. And then I, again, took another Little Altar Boy on the two of them together, this time octave down, blending in just to thicken it up. So then OTT to compress it further. And yeah, I love how that sounds. It's very cool, very cinematic kind of thing. I'm a big fan of a lot of the soundtracks for like Square Enix games, and I feel like this kind of sound would fit right at home at like a Final Fantasy or like Nier Automata, Nier Replicant kind of thing. That is the banjo. And then I'll play through a little bit of the entire thing and then break down the individual parts and how I fit this all in context. But now that you've heard the banjo, I want to show you the song that the banjo is within. Sounds like this. Very over dramatic. I need to see some like Elden Ring edits to this on TikTok or something. Back to the hook. From the hook we hit another verse section. Hook again. Little bridge section here. Love that blast beat. Very like Death Heaven-y, like very epic sounding song in general, you know? Dramatic, big, larger than life. And I think that the banjo and a lot of like the orchestral kind of stuff helps. So yeah, that's all the sections to this song, that's what I came up with in the context that this banjo lives in. So I'm going to keep now going through more of the layers to show how I expand. I'm going to start with the more synthy and organic and like orchestral, like the non-band section of this. So we have our two banjo layers. From there, we have acoustic guitar. This is my steel string acoustic. Very standard, just like same recording treatment as the banjo. Very compressed up front. So I'll play it with the banjo. Kind of adding some softness to that harshness. Then I add my EBow slide acoustic kind of thing. Sounds like this. Again, talking about like orchestral elements, I feel like this kind of sits somewhere in between like a really like messed up violin sound on the right side of the screeching. And on the left side, it kind of sounds like a choir kind of thing, like a solo, like female or like child, like choir thing. Love how that sounds. Very emotive. This could be like soundtrack for something. I love how this all sounds. Then I have a layer of that EBow that I pitch up an octave with little altar boy again. It does less glitchiness, but I just like having the octave jumping depending on the section. Next layer I add is acoustic guitar that I pitch an octave down to kind of simulate like an upright bass. Really love how that sounds. Then the next big group of things that I have going on, I'm really proud of how it sounds on this, is vocals. I used to try to mess with like choir libraries and like orchestral libraries, but maybe it's just that my brain doesn't work in like MIDI as much, but I had a hard time getting like the right articulations, the right sound, the right vibe. I was spending too much time like scrubbing through samples when I knew what I wanted it to sound like. So what I've been doing is just like recording my voice over and over and doing like stacks of vocals and fomenting and pitching them to make them sound more like a big group of people. And that's where this comes in throughout the whole song. There's different variations of it happening, but I'm doing this. So it's all kind of auto-tuned and quantized to be a little tighter. I'm intentionally doing like the stabs with like a very breathy thing in between, because I feel like the breaths are something that's like very human and really adds some like emotion to things. Sounds kind of funny on its own, I think, but when you throw it in context with everything else, it sounds really nice. I love that. That feels like very post-rock. Sigur Rós is one of my favorite bands, and I think that I'm kind of wearing the influences on my sleeve a lot here in this specific situation. I love the like ghostly kind of vocals that they do, and I know they do a lot of like playing guitar with violin bows and whatnot, which I'm kind of doing in my own way, I guess, with the ebow and slide kind of thing. But I just love that like cinematic sound in the sound palette of like a rock band. Just really cool combination of things here. So yeah, with the vocals, I guess I'll play through a little bit of it. I have like one on the left here, and then a higher one on the right. Running them through some compression, delay, reverb. I tried the new Space Blender reverb by Sound Toys. I really like how that sounds. I'm only subtly bringing it in here. But it does what it says it should do. The imaginary space machine, I feel like it puts things in very like surreal sounding rooms. So for something like this, I thought it sounded nice. Then I have a couple different takes where I pitch them up or down octaves. This one's up an octave. Then here I have it down and slowed down. And yeah, that is all the organic, like, or that's like the non-band side of things. You get this huge thing happening. And I feel like that makes the rest of the band hit even harder. I feel like it just makes it sound larger than life. I guess we'll go through the band side now that we're there. Drums, I'm using Superior Drummer. Primarily the death metal kit, the death metal easy drummer library, but I'm supplementing it with some other samples, swapping out some cymbals here and there, doing some different processing on the mixer / my mixer with the kick, ambient, snare, overheads. Same chain that I'm usually doing on the whole drum bus. I have radiator, Oxford inflator, kind of just like sweetening it. Just some saturation, some like extra excitement. API 2500. Some shaping EQ. Just a little bit of limiter to catch like any rogue transients, a little more shaping. Got the bass here. Very fuzzy. So I used a lot of fuzz for my dirt tones on this. For my bass and for my guitars, I used the Rat so I'm running it through my PV VTM 120 through my Rat distortion pedal as like a boost. I have a little bit of gain, but mostly the volume's turned up all the way. And to my Earthquaker hoof fuzz that is kind of doing like, between the two of those, I feel like it's slightly doing like the swollen pickle, like metal fuzz type thing, where it's very fuzzy, but still tight. Like there's not much sag to it. Sounds like this on the dirt side of the bass. Very compressed. Then the DI side of the bass, Ampeg SVT, some Saturn, compressing it all together. Very, very subby sounding bass. I wanted to have like the low sub frequency rumble. And then we go to electric guitar, which is pretty simple. Some of the most simple electric guitar that I've done. A lot of times I'll stack a ton of layers and different parts and things, but with this song, the extra like instrumentation was such a key part that the electric guitar is kind of taking a back seat and just like amplifying everything. We have a rhythm here. It sounds like this. Really thick. Again, I've talked about it before, but this is single coil pickups. This is my Fender Strat running through the same Rat and hoof into the VTM 120. but then also with my Digitech whammy blending in an octave down. So it's like the regular standard tuned strat and octave down to that to kind of bridge the gap between like guitar and bass six territory. Kind of a beefy chain with this too. I wanted it to sound like really upfront and modern and in your face. Then we have the lead. Similar chain, but I cut out some of the lows and low mids to boost the high mids a little bit, just for some separation and note clarity. Again with that Digitech whammy octave blend. At the very end, you can hear me playing with the octave blend. So the pedal has it set, so if it's all the way down, it's an octave down blend. All the way up, it's an octave up blend. So I'm kind of jumping between it. It's really subtle. You kind of don't even notice it in the full mix, but I think it adds some cool factor. Then in the verses, we have these happening. Very tight, aggressive, like, again, swollen pickle-esque, knocked loose-esque tones. That, again, was the strat, but instead of blending with the octave down, that's just fully the octave down. Same tone on this section here. I'm rhythmically pausing, and instead of using a gate like you would in a lot of like gentler kind of genres, I'm letting the feedback kind of do its thing. Since I'm boosting a ton, there's a lot of noise happening, but it sounds kind of musical, so I'm like letting it go. I love how that sounds. So you just rhythmically mute and then it makes the noise musical. I think that's one thing I love doing. I don't like cutting, similar to the way that I use the breath and like the choir things earlier in the song. I think that those elements are like the humanness of a song. And I like to retain that. I like to try to push that as far as I can. Speaking of with the noise, I really like the entrance and exit, the like black metal-y, like blast beat kind of thing. I, again, had a lot of noise going on. I was riding the volume knob on my guitar, and I noticed the higher the volume knob was, the higher pitched the feedback was. So I was kind of like playing some like melodies with the volume knob and the noise. This like cranks up the energy a ton. And then afterwards, you can hear all the movement. I just think that's so fun. It adds a lot of tension. It adds a lot of like emotion to it, I think. That is same tone, but I'm playing, again, octave down and octave up. I'm jumping between, and then I'm also running some reverb into the amp to kind of cloud up the sound a little bit. Doing a very like black metal, like dyad kind of thing where like I'm playing two notes at a time. I don't want to make it too dense. So I want to make it pretty focused, and then I'm letting the bass do bassline duties. So the guitar isn't playing the same notes as the bass there. But yeah, that is it. That is this song. This is, I don't know, one of my weirdest, proudest creations as of late, I think. It turned out so cool, very high energy, very dramatic, very all over the place, yet cohesive, I think. I feel like if I were to use, like, if I were to, like, describe somebody, my production style, I think this would be, like, a perfect example or something I would show somebody. I love how this turned out. I'm trying to like push the boundaries more with like my different instrumentation. Like I love this banjo in this song. I'm looking to get like a lap steel guitar, a mandolin, a few different things of that world. I'm on the hunt for an accordion as well. If anyone has the accordion plug, please let me know. But yeah, really excited with this. I hope this is interesting to you guys. If there's anything you have questions on, or you're curious about whether it's related to this video or not, let me know in the comments or email me or DM me on Instagram, anything like that. Yeah, appreciate all of you. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And with that all being said, peace out.